This is a sports catastrophe production.
Hey there, Heather Ho there. It's Jeff Cutter and welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe Birthday Boy. Well, usually I do one of an actively alive individual, but this time I decided to do my January 25th Birthday Boy on a broadcasting icon, a legend, if you will. Not a lot of broadcasters get love on my videos, I'll be honest with you. But in the sense of things, I owe him great service, if you will. Anyway, so this is Ernie Harwell. He was 92 when he died in 2010. He was born January 25th, 1918, so he would be 104 years old if he was alive today. But this guy was a legend. 55 years he was play-by-play guy. 42 seasons with the Detroit Tigers. He called the action on radio and or TV, and was named 16th of the top 50 sportscasters of all time in 2009. Although this was 2009. So Ernie Harwell grew up in Atlanta. He was a paper boy from Atlanta, Georgia, and actually had one of his customers, which was writer Margaret Mitchell, Gone with the Wind. So he would be a bat boy for the visiting team at every Atlanta Crackers Sovereign Association game, and never had to buy a ticket to get into a baseball game again. He became a regional correspondent for the Sporting News. He attended Emory University and all that. He was a copy editor and sports writer for the Atlanta Constitution, and he would be announcing games for Atlanta's baseball team on the WSB radio. And then he was in the Marine Corps for 4 years before going back to Atlanta. Now, the Crackers were a Class AA team, 2 rungs below the majors. However, he got notoriety because WSB was a 50,000 watt station that could reach the eastern half of the United States at night. French Rickey was impressed enough, so much so he decided that Harwell should be the substitute for a long-time Brooklyn announcer Red Barber, who had some problems with breathing also. So he traded a catcher, Cliff Dapper, to Atlanta in exchange for breaking Harwell's Rockins contract. The only time in baseball history a player was traded for a broadcaster. Kind of funny, don't you think? So Harwell broadcast for Brooklyn in 1949 and then switched over across the way to the New York Giants baseball team, before they went to San Francisco, and broadcast for New York from 1950 to 1953. And he then moved to Baltimore to be part of the Baltimore Orioles inaugural year in Baltimore. I mean, they moved from St. Louis when they were the Browns, but he was the broadcaster for the Orioles from 54 to 59. He was the lead broadcaster working alongside the great Chuck Thompson. Chuck Thompson would move to Washington to do Washington Senator games before going back to Baltimore in 62. Harwell would actually broadcast the Masters golf tournament too. Wow. And Harwell actually was part of the Shot Heard Around the World, October 3rd, 1951. As this was huge. And nobody got to hear Harwell's call, even though it was kind of coast to coast on NBC. We all know about the Russ Hodges call, but not Harwell's call. So anyway, Harwell joined the broadcast crew in 1960, replacing Van Patrick. George Kell, who was a legend for the Tigers, who actually began calling Tiger games, said that, he should come to Detroit. So Harwell would share TV and radio duties with George Kell until 1963. Anyway, Harwell and Paul Carey would be a long-time radio 1-2 pairing from 73 to 91. Harwell actually had a large following outside of Detroit because the Tigers aired the game on a 50,000 watt station WJR, which did reach the eastern part of North America by night. Anyway, things were good. Harwell was an icon. Unfortunately, Harwell had problems. In December 1990, WJR announced that the station wanted to go through a new direction and did not renew Harwell's contract past 1991. And basically, this was huge because the pairing of Harwell and Carey were gone. Carey decided to retire. Fans across Michigan and Bruins baseball were outraged. Unfortunately, the ball club and the radio station stood firm. Basically, they blamed each other. And not helping out much was Detroit's team president was Bo Schembechler, former Michigan head coach. The situation had a lot of outrage that Schembechler had threats of violence against him. The situation was huge, and WJR executive Jim Long was the one who pushed the quick no severance pay removal of Harwell. Billboards wanted to keep him around. So anyway, Harwell was replaced in '92 by Rick Rizzes, R-I-S-S. Well, Riz came back to Seattle, I believe. All that. But Harwell had a part-time schedule for the Angels in 1992. And then the Tigers went from one pizza mogul, Tom Monahan, to the other, Mike Ilitch. So it goes from Domino's to Little Caesars. So Mike Ilitch, who was the man of Little Caesars, bought the Tigers in '92, and he made his first promise to bring Harwell back. So he did. Harwell teamed with Riz and Rapper on the radio broadcast, calling play-by-play of the middle innings of each game. Harwell would do TV broadcasts for the Tigers from '94 to '98. Then he resumed his full-time radio duties and all that. Harwell said he would retire at the end of the 2002 season on his own accord, not by the team. So he did. So anyway, yeah, Harwell would help the Giants in the Shot Heard Around the World game. Like, it was carried on NBC TV and all that. Harwell would do numerous World Series and all that. Because back in the day, NBC would have it that the main play-by-play guy, Kurt Gowdy, much of the time, would actually share play-by-play duties with the home team's announcer. For example, in 1968, when the Tigers made the World Series, Ernie Harwell was on the NBC broadcast when the Tigers were hosting the Cardinals. Whereas, if you hear Tigers games in St. Louis and all that on NBC, instead of Kurt Gowdy, alongside Kurt Gowdy, you have the great Harry Carey. Anyway, in 2003, ESPN did a Wednesday night baseball telecast, part of the Living Legends series of guest announcers. And he did one game. Harwell was a play guy for an inning when Fox had the All-Star game in Detroit in 2005. All that. So you get a few innings here and a few innings there. All that. He had a broadcast style. He was known for his low-key delivery, Southern accent, because he called Detroit the Tigers, and conversational style. His trademark phrases were, "That one is long gone, long gone." Called out for excessive window shopping after a called strikeout. "It's 2 for the price of 1 after a double play. A fan from, he would pick up Michigan City, will be taking that ball home today." And all that. So Harwell did a lot of things and all of that. So he was in a few made-for-TV movies. Aunt Mary, Tiger Town, Cooperstown, and Cobb, the movie. So you like that and all that. The 1997 text-based computer game APBA for Windows, Broadcast Blast, features play-by-play by Ernie Harwell. So I'm interested in finding out more about that. Anyway, Harwell was a spokesman for Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, the medical organization and all that. He was a devout Christian, being born again in 1961 at a Billy Graham crusade. He was, along with Open Baseball Chapel, the organization for professional ball players who want to be developed and all that. The Detroit Public Library has a room dedicated to Ernie Harwell, which will house Harwell's collection of baseball memorabilia worth $2 million. Fuck. So, yeah. He was actually given an honorary doctorate of humane letters from the University of Michigan and one from Wayne State University. All that. Harwell is an icon and all that. Until his death, he still exercised regularly, did sit-ups, used a treadmill, and lifted weights. Wow, freak. Ernie Harwell was an icon and all that. Unfortunately, Harwell announced he was diagnosed with incurable bile duct cancer and decided against surgery or other treatment. He would say farewell September 16th when the Royals took on the Tigers. And Harwell actually sat down for a 60-minute interview with Bob Costas in 2009. Harwell would die May 4th, 2010, surrounded by his wife of 68 years, Lulu, and 3 of their 4 children. He was supposed to get the Vince Scully Lifetime Achievement Award in sports broadcasting the day after his death. Al Kaline basically accepted on his response. He was laid in repose at Comerica Park May 6th, and 10,000 fans filed past the open casket. And May 10th was Ernie Harwell Day. But here's the one thing about Ernie Harwell too. If you have the PC game or played the PC game old time baseball, pardon. You get 3 names that would do play-by-play. Mel Allen, Ernie Harwell, and I don't remember. I would say Red Barber, but no. But he's in that game. If you go to oldgames.com, old-games.com for PC, and they have like freeware. They have freeware of all the of some famous games from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, and all that. The thing is, you have to buy a license, but for $12, you can buy a license that you get unlimited downloads for 1 month and all that. Well, they don't bill you every month; they just bill you for the 1 month, and then basically, if you want to download them. So I downloaded a lot of games for that. I downloaded an NHL, NBA, NFL, and NBA, of course, the big 4. I downloaded Worms World Party Remastered and been playing that, part of a YouTube series, so that's great. But yeah, Ernie Harwell is on the game, and he's fantastic, freaking fantastic. Anyway, Jeff David, I do.